안녕하세요.
The days following Ji-hoon and Min-ji's last conversation were filled with silence and reflection. She was still struggling to understand her own feelings, while he was beginning to question whether his persistence was doing more harm than good. One thing, however, was certain. They were both caught in a game of expectations that seemed impossible to win. The pressure Ji-hoon felt, as CEO, was only growing. Critical decisions were being made, and he couldn't afford any distractions. Yet no matter how much he tried, he couldn't push Min-ji from his mind. She occupied his thoughts in a way that unsettled him more than he cared to admit. At the office, he maintained his professional demeanor, but an underlying restlessness gnawed at him. He knew that a relationship with Min-ji wouldn't be easy. His family's expectations, the scrutiny of the executives, and Min-ji's own doubts were all formidable obstacles. But despite everything, he wasn't ready to give up. He wanted to prove to her that she was more than just an employee, that she mattered beyond her role as his secretary. While Ji-hoon struggled with his responsibilities, Min-ji was battling her own internal conflicts. The situation was spiraling beyond her control. She couldn't stop thinking about his words, the quiet promises he had made. Each time their eyes met, something inside her cracked, because she knew she couldn't return those feelings without risking everything she had worked for. One afternoon, after a particularly important meeting, Ji-hoon decided it was time to talk to Min-ji again. He knew she was avoiding him, but the time had come to lay everything out once and for all. He made his way to her office and found her standing by the window, gazing out at the city. She turned at the sound of his footsteps, and he saw the weight in her eyes. "Min-ji, we need to talk," he said, his voice filled with quiet determination. She sighed, exhaustion evident in her expression. "We've already talked, Ji-hoon. What else is there to say? I know you're trying to keep your distance. I know you have your reasons, and I won't force anything. But please, just listen to me," he said, his voice softer now, revealing a vulnerability he rarely showed. "I can't keep ignoring what I feel for you. And I know you feel something too. We're not as different as you think." Min-ji shook her head, trying to push away the emotions threatening to overwhelm her. "You don't understand. You're a CEO, a successful businessman. I'm just an employee, someone who will be replaced the moment I'm no longer useful. We can't keep doing this. I can't be your distraction." "You're not a distraction, Min-ji," Ji-hoon said firmly. "You're the reason I feel more alive than I have in years. But I also understand if you don't want this. I don't want to pressure you, but I can't pretend none of this is happening." Min-ji stared at him, a storm of emotions swirling within her. She wanted to believe his words, but fear and insecurity held her back. "I don't know if I can give you what you want, Ji-hoon. I'm just an employee. You deserve someone who belongs in your world. I'm not that person." Ji-hoon stepped closer, his eyes locked onto hers. "Min-ji, you are more than enough for me. I don't want to wait any longer. I want to try. And if it doesn't work out, at least I'll know I tried." The silence between them was heavy, but something shifted in that moment. Min-ji felt an unexpected warmth bloom in her chest. What he was saying sounded so sincere, yet so improbable. But deep down, she knew he was willing to fight for her, and that was more than she had ever imagined she would have. "And what about your family? What happens when they find out? What will you say to the other executives?" she asked, searching for reasons to keep her guard up. "I care about you, Min-ji. As for my family, I'll face the consequences. I've spent my entire life doing what others expect of me. But now, I want to do what feels right for us." Min-ji lowered her gaze, thinking about everything at stake. She knew this was a pivotal moment. There was more on the line than just her job, but maybe it was time to listen to her heart. She looked back at Ji-hoon, her expression softer. I need more time, Ji-hoon. I want to believe this can work, but for now, I just need a little more space." He offered a small smile. "I understand. I'll wait, Min-ji. Whenever you're ready, I'll be here." The tension in the office was mounting, and Ji-hoon could feel it in every meeting, in every furtive glance from his employees. The distance between him and Min-ji was growing, not because his feelings for her had faded, but because the pressure from the world around them was making everything harder. Their love was real, but the price he had to pay seemed higher with each passing day. Min-ji, on the other hand, was feeling increasingly isolated, not just because of the rumors swirling around their relationship, but also due to the growing realization that she was seen as a threat to both the company's and Ji-hoon's family's reputation. What was once a simple secretarial role now felt like an endless battle, struggling to balance her professional duties with emotions that were becoming impossible to ignore. On an especially tense day at the office, Ji-hoon's sister, Soo-jin, decided it was time to confront him. She knew exactly what was happening, and frustration was clear in her every move. When she entered the conference room, her firm posture made her disapproval unmistakable. "Ji-hoon, you are risking everything. This relationship with Min-ji is going to destroy everything you've built." Ji-hoon met her gaze without fear. "I know what I'm doing, Soo-jin. Min-ji isn't just an employee, I love her. You're blind to reality. She's not from our world. You're putting the company, the family, and your reputation at stake. What will the media say? What will the investors think?" Soo-jin's voice was sharp with frustration. "I don't care what the media or the investors think. What matters is that I know what I feel, and I'm not going to let that slip away," Ji-hoon responded with conviction. But beneath his words, there was a quiet pain. He knew the risks, but he refused to regret his choice. Soo-jin took a deep breath, struggling to contain her anger. "You're going to regret this, Ji-hoon. This will ruin you, and if you keep going down this path, you'll lose the respect of this family. I won't just stand by and watch. I refuse to live in fear of others' opinions," Ji-hoon said firmly, his eyes unwavering. "Min-ji and I can be happy together. Nothing else matters." A heavy silence settled between them, Soo-jin staring at her brother with a mix of frustration and sorrow. She loved him, but that love didn't blind her to the danger of his decision. Meanwhile, Min-ji sat in her office, lost in a storm of thoughts. She knew Ji-hoon was facing immense pressure because of her, and she was starting to wonder if it was fair to him. What would happen to his feelings when things got even harder? And what was she risking by staying? When she received Ji-hoon's message asking to meet at the company cafe, she hesitated. But despite her fears, she couldn't ignore the need to talk. When they met, the air between them was thick with tension. Ji-hoon, wasting no time, spoke directly. "I know you're scared, Min-ji, but I'm willing to fight for us. I need to know if you're willing to try too." Min-ji took a deep breath, trying to process everything happening around her. "I worry about you, Ji-hoon. I know what this could mean for your family and your company. I don't want to be the reason you lose everything you've worked for." "I won't lose anything," Ji-hoon said firmly. "You and I can have what we want, Min-ji. I don't regret a single thing I feel for you. What we have is real." She looked at him, torn. "I can't just ignore everything that's at stake. I don't want you to regret this, Ji-hoon. What are you willing to lose?" "I won't regret choosing you," he said, his eyes locked onto hers. "Nothing will change that. And if you give me a chance, I'll fight for you, for us." A warmth spread in Min-ji's chest at his words. She was still scared, but something inside her softened. She wanted to believe him, but the consequences loomed over them like a shadow. "I don't know what will happen, Ji-hoon. I only know that you matter to me. That's enough. We'll face this together, Min-ji. No matter what happens, I'll stand by you." Before she could respond, a bell rang in the cafe, breaking the moment. But something had shifted between them. Min-ji knew her fears were valid, but she also knew Ji-hoon was willing to do anything for her. And no matter how uncertain the future seemed, she couldn't deny what she felt. Time passed, and the tensions both at work and in their personal lives began to ease. Ji-hoon remained steadfast in his determination to fight for his love, and Min-ji, despite her insecurities, gradually learned to trust him more. But the greatest challenge still lay ahead, gaining acceptance from his family and society. With Soo-jin and other family members resisting their relationship, Ji-hoon knew the pressure would only intensify. Balancing his position as CEO while keeping his love for Min-ji a secret was becoming unbearable. But he had made his choice, and he was ready to face the consequences. The turning point came during a high-stakes meeting with the company's top shareholders. The discussion about the company's future was intense, voices clashing over profits, investments, and stability. But Ji-hoon had already made up his mind. Rising from his seat, his voice was firm and resolute as he declared, I can no longer lead this company if I can't be honest with myself. I am committed to Minji, and I won't let anyone dictate my life. I leave my fate as CEO in your hands, but if you choose to remove me, know that it's because I decided to take control of my own happiness." A stunned silence filled the room. All eyes were on Ji-hoon, the weight of his decision heavy in the air. Some shareholders objected, arguing about the risks, but the decision was already made. Ji-hoon walked out of the meeting with his head held high, fully aware that his life was about to change forever. Min-ji was at home when she received a message from Ji-hoon. He wanted to meet. Nervous but hopeful, she agreed. When they saw each other at the cafe where so many of their secret meetings had taken place, Ji-hoon looked at her with a soft smile. "I want you to know that no matter what happens, I love you, and I will fight for us." Tears welled in Min-ji's eyes, but her smile was genuine. "I love you too, Ji-hoon, and despite everything we've been through, I want to stand by your side." He reached for her hand, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "I don't care about the obstacles, Min-ji. What matters is that we're together." They had made their decision. No matter how their families or society reacted, they were ready to move forward. Ji-hoon, his heart resolute, looked into her eyes and said, "Let's get married. I won't wait any longer. I want to build a life with you." Min-ji's smile widened as she nodded. "Yes, Ji-hoon, let's get married and live our happiness." Weeks of preparation followed, filled with challenges, but also strengthened by their unwavering love. When the day arrived, Ji-hoon and Min-ji exchanged vows in a simple yet heartfelt ceremony, surrounded by their closest friend. It was a day of pure joy, where their love shone brighter than any obstacle they had ever faced. Their marriage was more than just a union. It was a symbol of breaking barriers, defying social expectations, and proving that love could overcome even the harshest prejudices. Though Ji-hoon's family had been reluctant at first, time softened their hearts. They came to understand that true love knew no boundaries. Years later, Ji-hoon and Min-ji had built a life filled with love, children, and a home grounded in trust and mutual respect. The company thrived, now under Ji-hoon's leadership with a more humanized and inclusive vision. Together, they had proven that with courage, anything was possible. And in the end, what once seemed impossible became the most beautiful reality. The billionaire CEO and the former secretary standing side by side, ready to face the world together.